So with some of these updates, obviously there's legal stuff and obviously there's non-legal stuff. Now, Destiny is one that is in the pre-legal phase, I would call it, insofar as there's been allegedly a lawsuit filed. However, I haven't seen a full complaint yet. And typically, I want to see a full complaint. There's been funds raised and comments about the lawsuit being filed, but we haven't seen the full complaint. And I do want to be able to see that whole document. Now, of course, to be fair, and to start this Destiny segment, I do believe people are innocent until proven guilty. And obviously, of any crimes in which Destiny or even civil liability and torts, Destiny is innocent until proven guilty or liable. However, I can point out, and it is fair for lawyers to point out, whether the probability is for or against a particular conviction, whether a set of charges or a case is a strong case or a weak case. When you go to a lawyer, that is a very basic question. Do I have a strong case or not? So I don't always come up with the same answers. I don't have a stock answer. And I don't anymore get into the tribalism of, well, this is on my team, so I like them or not. Because as we've seen, there's people both on the political, on all ends of the political spectrum that can be very much wrong. In fact, we're kind of seeing that now over there on the other side, on the left, right, with Destiny obviously having these charges, Hassan and Twitch obviously having pretty serious stuff thrown against them. The Ethan Klein stuff is pretty damning regarding Hassan and his enabling of activities and Twitch's insane favoritism. I think that's been brought to light as well. But Destiny here has very serious allegations against him. And if he does not respond in a proper legal way, he will be absolutely wrecked. He will be 100% wrecked. Now, I do think in looking at Destiny, he has done better than other people. So who has he done better than? He's done better than Nick Rekieta because he's made some statements, but he is aware that he needs to generally stay quiet-ish before the lawsuits and legal stuff gets in the fit of it, and also that his statements can be used against him. He seems to be aware that his statements can be used against him. However, he has said things that he probably shouldn't say. Not as much as old Rickety Crackets, right? Not as much as Rickety Crackets, but he still seems to be generally aware. And we're going to get into some of his statements. He has made we're going to read his full response. So this is something I did not read on my previous Destiny stream, was his response to the legal accusations, the criminal and civil accusations. We've got his full response, as well as some other comments from him as well. Okay. Well, before I get into his war with the Kiwi Farms, because make no mistake, and this is part of the Destiny lore that is very important, Destiny actively watches his Kiwi Farms thread, which, and I compared this to Nick for a good reason. If there's one thing that will drive you insane, it is actively reading your Kiwi Farms thread. And if there's something that'll make you even more insane, it's responding to your thread, which he, for a good period of time, did, which is kind of crazy, verifiably. And now he's seeking to, of course, go to war with them. But before we get into the Kiwi Farms war arc, let's get into some of his responses here in the last couple days. So here's one. This is one of his archive tweets. Destiny responds to Kanye, who says, "Me Too is extortion. If a ninja really taped you, then it's legal, not financial. Can't nobody see that?" Destiny responds, "He's talking about me for real, for real." So that's one of the once again, these are post-lawsuit responses. This is Destiny's response, right, to the quote unquote legal arc. So we're going to read through this. This is his response. Sometime in November, extremely sensitive personal material of mine was leaked. This affected not only me, but many people in my life. I want to be clear. The leak happened without my knowledge, consent, or authorization. I never had an intention for any of these images to be published. I haven't spoken out publicly regarding this situation for a few reasons. Number one, I am actively pursuing criminal and civil litigation on these matters against multiple parties. So he's saying he's suing people, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Second, speaking publicly about these matters brings more attention to them, which harms all the victims involved. Whether or not Destiny cares about the victims, I'll leave up to your own discretion. And whether you guys can be your own judge of how much Destiny cares about the quote unquote victims. That's up to you guys. It's not necessarily legal. That's a personal assessment. 3, I've been trying to move on from covering quote unquote drama content as there's been increasingly negative impact on those in my life. I will say this, and this is something that I realize in the VTuber sphere, it comes up as well. I don't find lawsuits to be quote unquote drama. They are probably as objective as you could get in terms of stuff, not drama that's just, tea. This is stuff that has financial, criminal, civil repercussions in your life. This is going to mess up your life. If it's drama, it's something you can ignore. You generally can't ignore criminal and civil liability. Generally, there's certain circumstances where you can, but generally, it's an important thing for you to pay attention to. So I don't think lawsuits are drama. Last, one person involved has expressed thoughts in relation to the matter, and I did not want to exacerbate the situation by talking about it publicly. Because there are now multiple parties involved in litigation, it is unlikely I'll be able to answer any questions until pending litigation has been resolved. So, okay, I love it when people say, I can't say anything, and then they proceed to say more, because this is just the beginning of this. There's so much here that we're going to read. We're going to read all this, but I love it when people say that I can't speak because of litigation, and then they proceed to speak because of litigation. That's actually exactly what Nick did, many other people do. They make this statement, and then they continue to talk. They don't shut up. That said, though I am limited in what I can say, it is important that people know about my recent communications with him regarding Pixie, someone I was friends with and collaborated on many occasions. Since the leaks were first circulated, Pixie has stressed to me to keep things out of the public eye was important to her. I always said that I would do my best not to confirm or publicize anything. I kept my word. On December 11th, I received a message from a mutual acquaintance known as Laura Hayden, known online as Lauren De Laguna. So I guess he doxed Lauren De Laguna, right? So good job doxing him, who has a legal background. Yeah, she just became a lawyer. She's like a super baby lawyer. And honestly, how much she's doing law versus social media, I'm not really clear, but yeah. Lauren has had a negative sentiment towards me after I rejected her romantic advances earlier in the year. I understand that she had organized the fundraiser to support Pixie's lawsuit against me and assume that she has been counseling her on how to proceed. The same day, I received a message from Pixie where she suggested she would create a post about me that would go live after she committed self-deletion. This concerned me greatly. I genuinely believe that she was in mental anguish following the leak weeks earlier. I responded in earnest, doing what I could do to reassure her and letting her know that she had every right to pursue a legal course of action. At no stage did I try to convince her otherwise. This was highly emotionally volatile time. My main concern was her well-being. Once again, you guys can be your own judge on whether you believe Destiny on any of this. This is up to your discretion. A few hours later, I messaged a mutual friend, Straight a Ride, who I knew to be particularly close with Pixie. We tried to figure out the best way forward in terms of making things right, or as right as I could be for Pixie. In that conversation, we spoke about things I could do to alleviate the toll on Pixie's mental health. I took Straight a Raid's suggestions and presented them to Pixie. I officially I explicitly offered to help her financially, having had it communicated to me that she was under financial pressure while dealing with this matter. Pixie responded, stating that whatever price she would ask would be too high. It would only result in making her feel worse. This is so he posted an older screenshot of their conversation. Later in the conversation with Straight Arrayed, she told me that Pixie wanted me to cover her tuition for law school. Others told me that Pixie thought it would be appropriate to pay her anywhere from $500K to $1 million. What? At no point did she make an explicit or specific request for financial compensation. I think sometime after December 13th, she unfriended me on Discord. Oh no, you know it's on when you're unfriended on Discord. It became clear no amount I agreed to would be satisfactory by nature of the fact that I agreed to it. Third parties communicated that the point of any financial compensation would be to punish him. The language was incredibly frustrating to hear secondhand. I had already shown a willingness to make things right as best I could, and I had spent time talking to mutual friends of ours with the intent to address concerns of her mental health and suicidal thoughts. Once again, he's leaning pretty heavily on that. That doesn't go into the nature of the leaks themselves or the non-consensual. There's a lot that's not being addressed here, and that's not a lot of this is so far not getting him out of potential criminal penalties and civil liability, right? He can't just say, well, I was concerned about her mental health, and that's not a defense you bring up in court. I was so objectively harmed by the situation and was actively seeking a resolution that worked well for everybody. I'm not sure where Pixie got the idea she needed to financially punish me. She goes over in the text message. Pixie reiterates she doesn't want criminal penalties for me, just big financial ones. Some of the most personal messages have gone out to the world because of what happened, including multiple incredibly explicit videos of mine, many of which have been forwarded to family members and colleagues. Well, that's kind of what's going to happen when you're on the internet and you put stuff out like that. Or you record those things and they get out. That's going to happen. Information has come out which has irrevocably damaged my personal relationships. This saga has been a nightmare for all parties involved. Her accusation I used a proxy to widely distribute this material while claiming deniability, which, by the way, you'd still be liable for if you use a proxy to disseminate information or an agent. There's something in the law called principal agent. So if you're using an agent, you can be held liable as if you were doing the actions of the agent. So if you hire a hitman to kill somebody, yes, that is something that can come back to you because you are working via that agent to kill somebody. It's a pretty simple theory. I flat out cannot believe that anyone would think I intentionally leaked this material to the public. I increasingly felt uncomfortable by the language being used regarding financial punishment and wanting to teach me a lesson, along with constant references to precariousness of someone's mental health. It no longer felt productive to engage in these conversations. It was well documented at the start of this. I was completely willing to make things right with Pixie. At this point, I just tell people close to me that if Pixie wants to pursue legal actions against me, she's always free to do so. But I don't feel comfortable talking to her or about her until at least my current legal actions have run their course. It has been brought to my attention that Pixie has now tried to re-add me as a friend, but I have ignored these. I have never told anyone what they can or cannot speak about, and I've always left that option open to them. Despite what some people have said, I've never threatened Pixie with litigation or NDA'd anyone. Well, okay, well, we'll see. My goal was to respect the wishes of the people who have been affected by the leak. Pixie has now stated her intention to sue me and is fundraising for that. I do not believe I violated any laws, and since Pixie made it clear what she wants to do, I will have to let the evidence and legal filings speak for themselves. It is unfortunate it's come to this, but by all means, the communications with her or Lauren will have to be through counsel. Okay. So obviously, you've got some people name dropped. I think Lauren De Laguna, of course, definitely, potentially defamatory stuff against Lauren there if it's not true. So that's a very interesting update we've had. And once again, a statement that you didn't need to go into that level of detail. You didn't need to say those things. You didn't need to go as far. I would not have gone into all that extra detail about the mental health and the suicidal thoughts and all those iterations. I don't think that helps him kind of legally or in terms of the overall narrative. I would just let the reality of the legal proceedings play out. If you're going to hit people with defamation, if you're going to hit people with other civil or potentially even criminal charges, if Destiny says he's going to pursue legal actions against some of these people, then he should let those play out. I imagine mostly defamation. If he's going to come at them for anything, he'd probably come at them for defamation if they stated false facts. But that's unfortunately for Destiny not where this ends, because Destiny becomes even more problematic, I think, today with the latest update in the saga. This is the part where Destiny can really transition from, lawsuit to lolcow. And that is because he is threatening the Kiwi Farms and the Joshua Moon. He said here, he posted here, Destiny, Stephen Bonnell was responding. He was responding to Nicholas Nicholas DeOrio, saying, also, this goes without saying, if you like my Hassan Ethan coverage, if you think Destiny should still have a career as a political stream creator after what he did to Pixie, I invite you to unsubscribe, unfollow, so I don't have to go through the trouble of purging you. So essentially saying, if you still support Destiny, unfollow me. If you still think he has a place as a creator, unfollow me. So then Destiny responds, I just want to say how absolutely fucking hilarious it is that you fat soy fucks were screeching and screaming. I'm just reading what he's saying here, guys. I'm reading his comment here. That you fat soy fucks were screeching and screaming about how horrible and evil cancel culture is, and how the Me Too was innocent until proven guilty, but you're super content to take a side on this because of where the popular support is when only one side is spoken. So going on from there, he says, I'll respond with more substance than I can when I can, but I'm being attacked by people who have literally nothing to lose and everything to gain by saying whatever insane shit they can publicly while trying to squeeze me legally privately, which puts me in the most annoying fucking spot imaginable when dealing with dipshits like you. If you really want to show your nuts, why not attack places like Kiwi Farms, where the content is literally still being hosted and blasted to the world? Oh, because that's a scarier party to go after, eh? Talk about cowards. So he's trying to, what he really wants to say is he wants to go after Kiwi Farms, but he's unable to. So he's trying to weaponize other people to go after the Kiwi Farms. Which, of course, for those that don't know, categorizes and sorts information on internet personalities originating from Christine Weston Chandler coverage, and expanding to other internet personalities like Nikki the Coke Poke Rackets, and various others, including Destiny. And once again, on this forum, Destiny, the person who now complains about them, was actively participating and commenting. I was reading some of his posts earlier, and he was verified to have been actually commenting and responding on his thread. You can go back and still see those posts from Destiny responding to people on the thread. We had that. And then, of course, we had the response from, I believe this was Josh's response, but from KiwiFarms.net. Hi, OmniLiberal. The law 15 USC 6851 puts liability on non-con, which means non-consensual, intimate images on the person who released it. There are carve-outs for liability in matters of public interest, such as political figures. You are the only person who can be liable for what they did. And they post this legal snippet. The highlights are the highlights of Josh, not me, but number 4, an identifiable individual may not bring an action for relief relating to, and it gives you exceptions for intimate images, and it says a matter of public concern or public interest. So saying that he is a person of public concern or public interest, and therefore he can't bring this action for them hosting those images, because on this forum they still have intimate images of Destiny, which have been leaked, right? So obviously it's been confirmed that, this information is out there. And it's been historically not such a smart thing to try to go after the farms. One of the famous lawsuits, obviously there's a lot, but Russell Greer, right? Still ongoing. Case started in 2020. It is now 2025. That case is still going on 4 to 5 years later. So apply that in the Destiny case. And, I've spoken with the Kiwi Farms lawyer, Matthew Harden. He's actually a really smart guy. I really find him to be very competent and knowledgeable guy, friendly as well. I can imagine that with the Destiny case. So he's going to sue Josh. He's going to sue Kiwi Farms. It's going to take 4 to 5 years. His reputation won't last. His streaming career won't last 4 to 5 years for him to file a lawsuit. It won't last 2 years for him to file a lawsuit, right? By then, the reputational damage is done and the information has been out there. It's been disseminated. It's the damage is done. So as much as I would love to see him enter into a lawsuit and get absolutely dragged across the realms of the internet for this, ultimately it would end up a losing venture, and it would be a bad idea for Destiny to engage in that. Josh is not an idiot. Josh is in fact quite clever. And I reached out to Josh to see if he wanted a statement. I don't think he got back to me yet, but obviously I'm on Weird Asia times versus Europe times. He may not even have seen my message, or it may not have gotten through. But obviously we'll see when they have more comments on that. But let's look at some of the other statements that Destiny has made post lawsuit and some of the other stuff that's come out. Once again, this is all new stuff. Post lawsuit, Cream on Mushroom says, Destiny, only if you feel answering. Has she, meaning Pixie, actually already taken legal actions? What are the chances you think this actually ends up in court? Well, it's going to end up in court, obviously. Perhaps means trial. Cream of Mushroom, I'm 99% sure there's basically zero recourse available to her. Well, that's not true. She can always file, and then he has to defend. So there's something. What he might mean is he thinks that it's going to lose or the case is going to get dismissed. That's not yet accessible because we haven't seen what she's going for. And I looked at the Florida charges and some of the Florida civil liability, and there's a lot of stuff that Destiny is going to have to answer for if she brings the full extent of Florida law against Destiny, which is why I wanted to work it out independently. But I've always told her she's free to do what she wants. And also, I highly doubt that Destiny is capable, who as a non-lawyer, just Wikipediaing stuff, I highly doubt that Destiny is able to give an accurate assessment of the fact that he's going to win. And, this is, a week or so after he's got wind of them actually filing. I'm pressing X to doubt myself. I'm highly doubtful that this is an accurate and complete assessment using all the information he has available to him. Destiny, doesn't there seem to be any criminal punishment since it doesn't fit the definition of revenge? But are you not worried about it having to pay out punitive damages and reputational damage? Mind you, this is what somebody in his Discord is saying. This is not necessarily true. In fact, in Florida, there could be criminal punishment for it. It's possible depending on the factual pattern. It is possible. So this is just a guy asking about punitive damages and reputational. Destiny responds, no, lol, but none of this really matters as far as legal stuff goes. It's all reputation and all that. Well, not really, because there could be significant financial punishment as well, and there could be significant punitive damages as well. So Destiny making comments that just necessarily aren't legally all there together, there could be massive financial repercussions for Destiny, not just pure reputational damage. So I think he's looking at it in a very narrow way when it could be a much broader issue. Also, subsequent to my last stream, we had now, this character, I'll leave you to judge her on your own, be your own judge about Denims. But Denims is now the fourth woman to come forward and accuse Destiny of illegally recording her without her consent. She says that she refused to have sex with them He weaponized the illegal voice recordings as part of a smear campaign to silence her. Now, of course, a fun fact here about Denims, in case you don't know who this girl is, I really didn't know who she was until recently. Obviously, she is now a Hassan orbiter, but she was previously more of a Destiny orbiter. So whether or not she has a legitimate claim here, whether or not she's just piling on, mind you, as a fact, in all of these such cases, particularly in the cases involving Me Too type scenarios, there are always people that pile on. There are always people that say, oh, yeah, I was also there. It was also a problem for me. And if you look at many of these serious cases that involve situations like this, many such additional accusers get thrown out or do not have any evidence, or their evidence is insubstantial, or it doesn't match up, it doesn't make legal muster. So whether or not Denims has enough to meet the legal burden of proof or to add in or join the complaint, we'll see. I am very skeptical based on her internet allegiances. We'll have to see where that goes. People in the chat saying she's grifting, and that may very well be true.